Welcome to the video. My name is Dr. Adam Sawyers. I am a very below average powerlifter and a very above average online coach. This is my training whilst I rehab from a bilateral quadriceps tendon tear, rupture, repair. Basically both my quads exploded. So my current training, the goal is to get to 600 total. That'll probably be 120 squat, 180 bench, and a 300 deadlift. And you have just seen my top set of deficit deadlifts for the day. 150 for 5. Nothing crazy, but 10 kilos up on last week. So, nice and steady progress. Next is going to be some... I should just check my program, shouldn't I, instead of trying to remember stuff. Right, so one set of 5, 150, RPE 6. Had to try, definitely could have done more. So next up, we have barbell rows, pull downs, and then we go to the gym. So, the last week or so, I've been struggling quite a bit with nutrition. Not in terms of struggling to eat, but more the opposite of that. My appetite's just gone insane, and so I still obviously hit my macros because I'm not an idiot, so I do what my target is. But it's been a lot harder than I anticipated. Normally, it doesn't really require too much effort for me to just hit the macros, but for whatever reason, probably because of starting to train harder again, appetite's just gone silly. So that's been taking some work to deal with, and what I'm doing is I've had to change my schedule up a bit so that I'm moving more food further in the day just because of the hunger. So that's novel. And my activity is down a fair bit compared to what it would normally be. So that probably, I realise I just said about activity. So I'm training more than I have been, lifting, but my general activity is lower. So in terms of like steps, for example, because of the broken bone in my ankle, I just physically can't walk as much. So that's obviously making a difference. Now this microphone, it was dying. I keep just forgetting to put it on charge. Barbell rows, just a couple of sets. I keep going back and forth with training. One part of me is like, set a program, stick to the program. It's very logical. It's a very sensible thing to do. The other part of me is like, just do whatever you feel like. Have fun. Enjoy it. Not to say that the two can't be the same thing. But what I've kind of ended up with is if I just stick to the program, the problem I've got is my legs are quite variable. So I can't be like, every Monday I'm going to squat, every Thursday I'm going to squat or do quads or whatever. It just doesn't work that way. They're too variable. So instead, I'm going to have like a rolling split. But with that, I can slot in or slot out the quad stuff. So, for example, today, my quads are like, they're not crazy sore, but they also don't feel particularly good. So I'm just going to go like in order. So yesterday, push, and then quad rehab. Today, pull, which includes deadlift, and then quad rehab. Tomorrow, as long as my knees don't feel actively bad, it will be quads, like a quad type session. If my knees do feel bad, either I'll just do quad rehab, or if I want to train, I'll go on to the next push session instead. So there's a bit more freedom there. So there is a program, but it's very loose. So it's what you would call a rolling split, of where there's not a set days of the week, and then there's the freedom to move things around as and when I see fit. Anyway, let's do this. So this is going to be a barbell row with a bit of flexion, bit of spinal movement. Whoa. Oh, that's very spinal. Oh, feels nice. I feel it quite a lot in my upper back, my lats. Actually, at the minute, I'm feeling that in my glutes as well. Just holding the static position. And then my mid-back, the part that's flexing and extending. Ooh, really feel it strongly there. So I think that's 70 kilos for the first set. So I've been writing a new program for the app called Bro Strong. And the idea is for lifters that still want to be a bit of a bro, but also be strong. And had it not been for my knees, I feel like I'd probably want to do it. So there is like sensible programming for your big lifts, and then bro-like programming for your accessories. So like, for example, there's going to be curls 4 out of the 6 days of the program, because bros, so biceps, are more important. There's going to be heavier stuff like strict press and bench and whatnot, because people like that, the bros like that. And then there's going to be more going to failure and accessory stuff, but it's done in such a way that it's logical and structured, so you'll still make progress and not burn out, but without having the constraints of like RP6, RP7, RP8. It's just, these are your accessories, you go to failure, or to nearly failure, or whatever on them. Obviously volume has to then be accounted for with that, which is what I've done when designing it. So it looks, to be honest, it looks fun. It looks like fun training. It's something I'm like, I kind of want to do that. But obviously with my knees, just having to be careful. Knees and deficit and broken ankle. It's all a thing. It's all tied in together, isn't it? Anyway, this is the only set. So with this stuff, with what I'm doing at the minute, when your goal is hypertrophy, so size, you probably want to be escalating volume close to failure. When it's strength that you're looking at, I would be looking at increasing the load on the bar first, before then looking at the intensity, so the proximity to failure, and before looking at the volume. So if you can do one set of an exercise, and next week you can do one set at a similar effort, but heavier, for strength, that's perfect. Like, you don't need to do more. There's no good reason to have to do more. That will stop eventually. You might be able to, as a beginner, you might be able to do that for 6 months. When you get more advanced, you probably can't just do one set and just keep getting stronger. However, if you have been stronger in the past, so say you're rehabbing, say somebody like me, you can get away with just 1 or 2 sets of stuff. So that deficit deadlift, just one set, because 10 kilos heavier than last time, same sort of effort. Next time I come around to this session, I'll do 160, so that's another 10 kilos, probably be a similar effort. I'd imagine that will keep going up until I get to 200 plus. At that point, then I'll have to actually be more structured in terms of how much volume per session, proximity to failure, and all that sort of stuff. Accessory work, the exact same. The reason I'm doing 2 sets on this is I almost always find the first set feels quite good. I can feel the muscles working well, but then the second set, it's like I get a pump from the first set from like 0 to a 5, and the second set goes from a 5 to a 10. So I've got a massive pump, the weight has gone up, the reps have stayed the same, I've gone up or whatever. So that to me is a good proxy for this is progressing. So I look at that approach and everything I'm doing of, although the strength and hypertrophy are not independent, I look at the movements as, is this a strength type movement or a hypertrophy type movement? Strength type, I just want the load to go under the same parameters, so same range of motion, same everything else, but more weight on the bar. That's it. Hypertrophy type movement, I'm also looking at how much of a pump there is. The pump isn't everything, but it's a good proxy to know you are working where you think you're working. And this is the bro part of me, feels good, it's enjoyable, as Arnold said. So, set number 2. Going a bit lightheaded there. So that's set 2 done. All good. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put these weights away. I'm going to the gym. At the gym, I'm going to do hamstring curls, leg extensions, isometric holds, and that's it. And I'll be done training for the day. So, I believe this will probably have been quite a short video. So the business stuff, it's what's on my mind the most at the minute. So what I'm doing, there's a few projects I'm working on. So one is to get 14 Strong up and running again. But as courses, what's happening is people are opting into it before I've finished changing it. So they're getting half of the old stuff and half of the new stuff. So I need to sort that out. Then I'm working on doing some launches for some of the one-to-one stuff. And then there's the app as well. So they're the 3 things. Also, I've opened up. So a couple of weeks ago, I put a post on Instagram about doing like consultations, like one-on-one. So basically an hour Zoom call, talk about whatever you want. People have used them for either business stuff, coaching stuff, or training stuff. I'm happy to talk about whatever, but those have been the main things. So I quite enjoyed doing that because there's some variety. So I've added more spaces in my diary to do them. So they're quite fun. You just break up the day, break up the week's work a little bit. I see different problems to solve, which makes it more interesting. Anyway, so yeah, it's quite early. It must be about 9 o'clock. Not crazy early, but early to have deadlifted. It's freezing here. So I'm going to crack on with that, get on with the work day, and I'll see you in whenever the next video is. The thing as well with this different split is that I could potentially train 20 days in a row, or I might only train 3 days a week. This gives me a bit more flexibility with it to make it so that it fits in with everything else. And as long as I'm progressing like to like, it's fine. Because I think this weekend I'm going to train with one of my athletes, so obviously that doesn't fit in with normal Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Anyway, I will see you tomorrow, day after. Who knows? Don't think anyone actually watches all the way to the end anyway.